Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Alzoru Does TierZoo. I am not affiliated with TierZoo. I'm merely correcting a mistake of theirs made in their video when the Earth was in beta. There actually was multicellular animal life before the Cambrian explosion, but next to nothing is known about this period outside of what the devs tell us, which is very little indeed. They seem a bit embarrassed to even talk about the original beta, and very few players even remember it. This update and its patches were known as the Ediacaran updates or the Avalon explosion. I like to call the original whole update version 1.01a and its subsequent and smaller update it says 1b, c, d, etc., etc. So the big question here is, what was the meta like? Well, there barely was one. The ocean was, of course, the only place life was possible, but the earliest players got to enjoy playing a sessile lifestyle as a rangeomorph or ernietomorph, basically doing nothing but farm EXP passively and watching microbial mats grow. Slowly but surely, more options became available like Dickinsonia and its variants, which ate parts of the microbial mats. More and more bizarre builds came to exist, and since nobody had eyes, stealth wasn't really a thing at all. In fact, all stats were at an all-time low, with speed being all but non-existent for a lot of builds. Anything that could move did so at a proverbial snail's pace. There was no active predation yet, so it wasn't a big deal that nobody could move very quickly. Everyone just farmed the thick and bountiful microbial mats for evolution points that they used to experiment with weird body plans. And I do mean weird body plans. Then everything changed when ctenophores or comb jellies arrived on the scene. While they weren't active hunters per se, they still could wrap around other players and exhaust them to death before eating them. And it worked well enough, but it became clear that it wasn't quite enough. Sponges were also introduced and filter fed from the water rather than bothering the slowly shrinking microbial mats, but this made them very similar to rangeomorphism and the other ones just, filter feeding and farming EXP. What really broke this early game, though, were the Cnidarians, the stinging jellyfish that could actually kill unwary or unlucky players and be semi-active predators for the first time in the history of the game, a prelude to the upcoming Cambrian explosion. There was one important build called Kimberella that became the basis for the mollusk class in later builds, and was one of the fastest moving creatures of its time, which was nearly game-breaking since it did so well cleaning up the microbial mats. No footage is known to exist from this era, so it's no wonder the TierZoo folks didn't know about this era of the game. The very early beta game was a very weird and mostly pretty boring experience where nobody could see, and most everyone farmed EXP all day, either via filter feeding or eating the microbial mats. It's hard to tier any of these creatures due to a lack of footage. Back when they were the only multicellular life to play as, the sea pen-like rangeomorphs and ernietomorphs were good to play as, but became more relevant as more things were added, since more players liked being able to move, even if very slowly. I can't really rank them higher than D tier, and they aren't stupid enough to slap into F. C tier is home to most of the bottom-feeding weirdos that dined on the microbial mats. Dickinsonia, the Cephalozoa, Vendiomorphs, Trilobozoa, and Eoandromeda, which may or may not be related to the starfish of today. How do we know that they ate the microbial mats? Well, we don't really. It's just a pretty good guess, considering that we know things did eat the microbial mats. And we do know for certain that some of these creatures certainly did, but we don't know for certain that all of them did. For all we know, a couple of these may have been the first early predators that ate rangeomorphs. Which, rangeomorphs are very, very strange because they're not really animals in the traditional sense, but they're also not plants or fungi. They're just kind of their own thing. B tier is for the sponges, which might not seem very exciting, but the fact they're still in the game to this day says something about their longevity. Ctenophores share this ranking for similar reasons of still being around today, even if no longer very relevant. A tier has only one resident, Kimberella, and its relatives, which, as we said, was probably the fastest animal of its time, and gave rise to the mollusk class, which still sees success to this day. S tier can only really go to the Cnidaria for developing powerful venom and inventing predation. Cnidaria were the scourge of the Precambrian seas, totally untouchable except at a very young age. Cnidarians also still exist today and are some of the most venomous creatures in the sea. I'm Alzoru, and I hope TierZoo and their fans see this. Everyone deserves to know about the forgotten Ediacaran updates. Ciao.